Hello, you are in the flow. I am your host, Tanya Mormon. We have a very special guest here today, the mayor of the city of Florence, Teresa Myers-Ervin.
On the Spot Handyman Service is here to provide you with high-quality services that you can depend on.
If there's a spot, we definitely on the spot.
Guaranteed. Need an addition? Need a structure built from the ground up? We do all interior and exterior remodels and upgrades. On the Spot Handyman Service. On the Spot Handyman Service. Need a handyman? We're on the spot. On the Spot Handyman Service. Give us a call at 626-240-8632. That's 626-240-8632.
Good Life Fitness. Have you heard about us? If you haven't, you will. We are located at 400 East South Village Boulevard. We're new to the community. However, we're not new to the community because we're implants from this community. Is that we're a little different than your box gym. Nothing wrong with the box gym. However, Good Life Fitness, we focus on your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being, and internal well-being. And I think that with the programs that we put together here in Good Life Fitness, it's life-changing. You'll hear me say to our clients, one day at a time, one rep at a time. And I truly believe that because that's what it takes in order to achieve your goals. It's not going to happen one day, 2 days. It's going to happen in 2 months, 3 months, a year. Stick to the programs, and that's how you get better. That's how you get stronger. I'm a living witness. When you put the work in, you get the results. And here at Good Life Fitness, we definitely put in the work. Trust me.
We'd love to have you join us. You can go online, www.goodlifefitnesscpr.com, www.goodlifefitnesscpr.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Good Life Fitness. You can follow us on Instagram at Good Life Fitness CPR. We love to have you join our team.
That's right. Keep living the good life.
Hello, my name is Monisha Epps, and I am the owner of Daily Living Adult Daycare Facility. The facility is about getting seniors out of being home and just being stuck at home all day. So it's a place for them to come and interact with peers of themselves. We take anyone from the ages of 18 and older. And we also take someone that has Alzheimer's, dementia, and they don't actually have to have a mental or health issue. They still can come to the facility. At the facility, we assist them with activities of daily living that includes things like bingo, arts and craft, painting, different things that we can do that can keep them busy. We have 2 locations. We have one in King Street and we have one in Florence, which is one of our newer locations. We are located on 500 Pamlico Highway, Suite G, and my contact number is 843-206-9042, or you can contact me via email at dailylivingllc@yahoo.com. And we'll be here to take care of your loved ones during the day while you're away.
I'm Teresa Myers-Ervin, and you're watching In the Flow.
Right, you are in the flow.
Well, it's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for, supporting us here. You as the mayor of Florence, I really want to get an opportunity for people to get to know who you are. That's what this show is really about. We'll talk a little bit about politics, but not so much. But tell me a little, I want to know who Teresa Myers-Ervin is.
Tanya, that's a very in-depth question. There's many facets to me as a person. First of all, I'm a woman of faith. So my life is built on the fact that I do believe there's a higher power within myself. And with that, I'm also a family person. I mean, I'm that daughter, I'm that sibling, I'm the mother, and I'm a wife. So I serve in many capacities. So for me, it's faith, family, friends, and community. Okay. So I'm that young community activist. I'm one of the young ones you might have seen in my days was doing some of the protesting.
Right.
So that's a part of who I am.
That is awesome. Give me a little bit of your background. Tell me about your parents and growing up.
Well, with me, my father died when I was 6 years old. He actually died a month before my 7th birthday, which left my mother and my 5 siblings. But for me, I grew up with love, and I grew up with the influence of a strong mother who created a belief in me that if I put my mind to it, I could do anything. And when my mother passed, I lost a very solid supporter. But because of who she created me to be, how she raised me, I was able to press on. So I come from a loving family, even though my father died when I was so young.
Okay. Where were you actually born? Or were you born here in Florence? Are you from South Carolina?
I was born at home in West Florence, born at home on Sumter Street, delivered by a midwife who came from Pamlico, South Carolina to deliver me. So yes, I'm truly a Florence native.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So what schools did you go to? Like what elementary school, middle school, high school? What was your education like here locally?
Well, I originally went to the original Carver School, which was located on the corner of Sumter and Alexander, which is now the R.N. Beck Center. So I went to Carver School. I also attended McKenzie. McKenzie's no longer there. It's becoming a medical school.
Right.
And I went to Moore Middle School. And from Moore, I went to West Florence. So when I graduated from West Florence, I attended Florence Darlington Technical College and Francis Marion University. So I was born and raised and educated right here in Florence, South Carolina.
Okay. Well, what did so you really grew up here locally. You know Florence because you were born here. You grew up here. You stayed here. That's awesome. Tell me what your studies were at Francis Marion and Florence Darlington Tech. What did you study?
Okay. Nursing. I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse by training. And I tell people my original desire, I was planning to go to the Air Force. So I actually did ROTC throughout my high school years. And when I was preparing to go to the military, my sister told me, she said, Teresa, if you go to the service to Air Force, you're going to kill a mother. Because my mother did not believe that the Air Force or the military at that time was a place for a young lady. So I thought about what she said, and my mother asked me to try nursing. And so I was going to try nursing, but being that young teenager, I knew that, I could change your mind and I could become a nurse. And when I do go in the Air Force, I can go in with a higher ranking.
Right.
But long and short, Mom was right. I ended up focusing on my nursing career, and I just wanted to be the best at whatever I did. So that's why I continued my nursing career in education.
Okay. Well, tell me what really inspired you to, I get your mother, kind of persuaded you not to go into the military. Your sister, reminded you of that. And you decided nursing, but just talk about what that has been like.
Well, I will have to say by focusing on my nursing career, staying here locally, I did meet my husband during that process. So I fell in love. And so I fell in love, and I ended up getting married while I was still in nursing school. So I was here. And for me, when I think about the things in life that I had to assist or help with, it also drew me into my community. I became a member of the Northwest Association while I was a teenager. I was the youngest member, and I served as a secretary.
Oh.
So once again, I was being mentored by those seniors in our community. So education, commitment to community, and the leadership of our seniors is what kept me rooted and grounded in serving our community.
I got you. Now, seeing that you are a nurse, and so the medical field is definitely your background, let me ask you a little bit about COVID-19 and some of the politics that happens to be involved. Speak on that from your point of view, because you actually have to deal with both sides of that.
Yes. Well, for me, COVID-19 is a medical issue. And I believe fully that if you have a medical condition, do you go to the doctor and ask him, how do I treat this? Or do you go to your president, or do you go to your governor and say, how do I treat this disease? I prefer to go to the medical profession when they're diagnosing me. So that balance of being medical and also being in the political realm, COVID-19 is something that needs to be addressed through our medical professionals. And so I will always err to the expert in that area. And that is our CDCs, that is our doctors, that is our nurses. So that is who I look for when I want to seek guidance.
Okay.
Not politicians.
Absolutely.
But you can talk to me because I'm a nurse, so I can give you both sides.
Great. That's awesome. So we'll take a break right here, and we'll be right back with a little more from our mayor, the city of Florence, Teresa Myers Ervin.
District 1, it's home. It's where mom and dad met. It's where my grandparents still live. Ingram Street and Harmony Street. I am Old Carver, North Vista, Wims Middle, and working for Weed and Seed Safe Haven at 14 years old. Let's face it, District 1, we are one. We are resilient. We are family, friends, and we are a community. District 1, I'm running for us. See, for me, it's all about the future of Florence. I believe the stakes are too high for us not to have a seat at the table. We have an opportunity to bring real change to our city. District 1 needs a leader that will remain focused on our best interests as a community, ensuring that we have vibrant urban neighborhoods that are growing and expanding. We want safe communities, playgrounds, and parks for our children, and well-serviced public transit for our neighborhoods. We must create broader civic engagement through measures that increase transparency, accountability, and the responsiveness of our city government. We must preserve local small businesses and foster a culture of volunteerism and connecting residents with opportunities to serve in the community. I'm running because I care too much not to, and to serve the people I call family. With change agents like you and all of our District 1 neighbors, we can change the direction of every community in District 1. It's time for every resident of Florence to live the good life. I'm Isaac Wilson, and I approve this message.
Are you in search of residential or commercial services like cleaning, moving, landscaping? Book us at we'realldone.com or dial 843-206-7550. Have an issue with anger management? Stop. Think. Walk. Run. Laugh. Dance. Relax. Breathe. Change location. Listen to music. Talk to someone. Take charge of your mental and behavioral health. Get help.
Hello, I'm Reverend Terry Alexander, asking you to join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. God is always willing to give, but we are so slow to ask. We must be intentional in our asking of God. Again, join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. Start your day with prayer.
I'm Teresa Ervin, Mayor of Florence, South Carolina, and you're watching In the FLO.
And we're back. Thanks for staying tuned. We're here with the Mayor of Florence, and we were talking a bit about COVID-19, and there's just a blurry line that it crosses in terms of being medical and in terms of being political. What are some of the things that you see, or some of the people that you see in the community that could be discouraging?
Okay. Well, John, especially when I look at our young African Americans, especially our African American males, and some of our females, there's a fear about having the vaccine. And there was a young man who I know, he's a business owner, and I had the opportunity to talk with him. I explained to him, I've had the vaccine, I've had the boosters, but also I've seen what happens when you don't. And I needed for him and others to understand, young people die when they have COVID as well. And if you don't die from it, there are people who've had strokes. There are people who've lost their taste for life. There are long-term effects on the body. So I would encourage everyone, get that vaccine. Because if you get that vaccine, you might have some mild side effects. But if you get COVID, you don't even know if you're going to live.
Who are some of the people, who do people look like? Do they look like us? Are those the people who are most discouraged by the vaccine, in your opinion, or for what you've been able to see?
Well, The numbers varies on that because it has been so political. You see others who don't look like us, but there it's based on a lot of time political rant. And I find that more individuals who look like me is more of the concern on the health realm of what will it do to me. You have to remember that our history, when it comes to the Tuskegee experiment,
Right.
you know, people who look like me are used to not always having the best relationship because they've not always been had honest information
Right.
given. So that created an atmosphere of mistrust. That is why when I had my vaccine, I took pictures, had it on Facebook. I wanted people to see, I'm a nurse. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my chances with a vaccine rather than the disease. So for me, there are rationales for why people mistrust.
Okay.
Yes.
I got you. And I just know that. And then there's this side of people who, to be honest, they don't trust politicians. So they could look at someone like the mayor or their president or whoever they're looking to, their senators, and they see them getting vaccinated, but they still don't have that trust. So with you being in the medical field, I think that offers so much more.
And Tanya, before we leave that, what I would want to say to anyone who's looking at a politician, I am a servant leader. And when I state that, I'm here to serve people. And it just so happened I've been graced with the ability to do leadership. But when I leave from downtown Florence and I come home, I love to put on my jeans and have fun in life too. And when you see me, if you want to speak to me, talk to me. I'm human just like you. I'm here to serve you. And if you want to talk to me because I can't serve and lead you if I don't know what you're thinking.
Right.
So we have to have that bond of just, we're human.
I like that you said that because we are from a small town. So I imagine anywhere that you go, I mean, we know each other. We see each other at certain events, you know, just as a small, like I said, we're a small community. So I imagine you go into the grocery store, you're going to see people, so they know that you're the mayor. How are people responding to you? And do they come and ask you questions?
Yes. Yes, they do. And I'll give you one experience. When I first was elected, you know, I thought, well, you know, I've served on city council, you know, I'm the mayor. And I had on my warm-up suit, my mask and my cap. I wanted to run out, do something quick. And my daughter was saying, Mom, you know, you can't go out looking like. I said, why now? You know, I still looked good. And I got out. You would think no one would notice me. I was in the store and the lady kept kind of walking around the things. And then she came and she looked and she said, you're the mayor. And I said, oh, yes, I am. Because I really did not think that people would even notice. Because to me, I'm simply Teresa. I've been serving the city for 10 years, and now I've got a different, you know, role and different title, but I'm just me.
Well, listen, I'm going to have to stop you there. I mean, I admire your humility. You're saying I'm just me. But you've made history here. You are the first African-American and female mayor of our city. What was that like when you first heard it announced and you realized that you had won the race?
That moment when I received that information, I was literally on the phone at a watch party. And there's a picture that's on in the paper where my daughter came up and she's hugging me on that. For me, the sheer joy of just getting through the stress of an election and hearing that you won, that was what was important to me in the sense that when I was running, I had the thoughts of, you know, I'm Black, I'm a woman. The city has never had neither one of those things.
Right.
So my thought was, you know I'm the most qualified candidate, but would the citizens vote for me? Because it had never had a Black and it never had a woman. So that moment when I found out I won, yes, the city will. It's like Martin Luther King, they saw the content of my character and my service.
Right.
And that is what was so important to me, that they saw that. And they did not look and say, well, I'm not going to vote for her because she's Black. I'm not going to vote for her because she's a woman. It said to me that our city said, we want the best candidate. That is what was so joyful for me.
Awesome. Definitely. And I'd like you to describe what campaigning was like. You know, talk a little bit about that experience, because that in itself is a process. What was that like for you?
It was really grueling, because you have to realize this is the first campaign season that we had to do in COVID.
Right.
So we literally had to get out there, reach people without touching people. So actually, the team that I was with, and we talked about it, created and thought about the process of doing caravans every Saturday. We'll be up, going through the community, speaking to people. If we had information, handing that to them. So we had to be creative in the way we campaign, but yet give people the opportunity to say, well, why should I vote for you? So for me and my team, finding that creative way to keep people safe, but yet give them the opportunity to talk to Teresa,
Right.
to say, why should we support Teresa? So being creative. And it was grueling.
It had to be. It had to do that. That was just an incredible time. And just, there was a lot going on in the political atmosphere just nationally at that particular time. So I can only imagine. But I'm happy to see that the citizens were able to look beyond that and just kind of look at what's going on in our city and what could be done for our particular city. Because local politics is so very important. But what I want to ask you is, being the mayor, is it all that you thought it would be?
It is that and more. It really is. For me, when I wanted a mayor that would be able to still hear from people. And I saw myself being that person. And just to be able to treat people equally in balance is important to me. So for me, it is all that I thought it would be. And it's a little bit more. It is more interaction because I'm so many people, and I'm not sure if it's because of the mayor or because I'm the first Black woman, that a lot of people want to meet with me. They want me to be at their events. And I think that a lot of citizens want to celebrate the fact that Florence is now being seen as a progressive city.
Right.
And that is really nationally what I'm finding out, and people who've contacted me, they're starting to see Florence as a more progressive city.
Well, it is. It has to be. I mean, we have a Black mayor. We have a female mayor. That is a big deal.
Right.
It really is. So you have to sit in that and take that on and know that that is a big deal. But also, I want to know, like, what are some of the things that aren't so great about being mayor?
Well, for me, if you have to know my personality. I always tell people, for me, I don't read between lines. I was always raised that you spoke the truth. And when you spoke your word, let your word be your word and your word be your bond. And for me, I find that it is not always necessary that when you're in the political realm.
Right.
So for me, that I'll say innocent eyes of expecting certain things from others that they're not able to give. Whereas I would give that to them.
I hear you. I can imagine that people have so many expectations and just not understanding the process of what it takes to get things done. They might have demands on you that, you just can't readily meet for them, and they don't have an understanding of that. How do you get that message across to people?
Well, for me, it comes down again to this honest communication. If I can do it, I will gladly let you know that I can do it. If I cannot do it, I will make sure you understand why, because if there are legal reasons I can't do it, I have to let you know that. But if we're discussing something that, hadn't been done yet, what is the possibilities? So I will gladly also talk with you. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
And if we can do it. And if we can't do it, then we can't do it. But at least we tried.
Okay. I'll stop you right there, and we'll pick up on that after this break.
All right.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more from Teresa Myers Ervin.
On the Spot Handyman Service is here to provide you with high quality services that you can depend on.
There's a spot. We definitely on the spot.
Guaranteed. Need an addition? Need a structure built from the ground up? We do all interior and exterior remodels and upgrades. On the Spot Handyman Service. On the Spot Handyman Service. Need a handyman? We're on the spot. On the Spot Handyman Service. Give us a call at 626-240-8632. That's 626-240-8632.
Teach them how to love. 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 Teach them how to love themselves. How to love themselves.
Hello, I'm Reverend Terry Alexander, asking you to join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. God is always willing to give, but we are so slow to ask. We must be intentional in our asking of God. Again, join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. Start your day with prayer.
We're ATLDV, and you're watching In the Flow.
In the Flow is here to keep you informed, but I also want you to join me on the last Sundays of the month with the Brown South Girls podcast. I do that the last Sundays with my daughter, KJ, and it's all about brown girl content. We have conversations, we're bringing a little information, and we just kind of have fun. We're talking about things that maybe you should talk about with your mother, your girlfriends, your aunts. So look for the Brown South Girls podcast, the last Sunday of the month. Subscribe on YouTube. And we're back. I want to pick up on talking about you being the first. Because it is, like I said, it is a deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was sharing earlier that when I first truly realized, it was really this year. You know, I've heard it and people have said it, but there was a city administrator, I think she was from Anderson, and we was doing a program. And when she introduced me, I can't give you her exact words, but when she stated it, and she stated I was the first African American, first female in the history of Florence since its inception, it hit me. Like, this is something. I mean, because to me, mentally, I didn't think of it that way because I believed it should have been the norm. I remember being that little girl looking at Shirley Chisholm. And so that impressed upon me. And then when she said that, I was kind of like, wow, this is something that is historical. This is something that our city has never done before.
Yes,
so I still sat in amazement of it.
Well, I tell you what, you know, just like you looked at Shirley Chisholm, there are now little girls who can grow up. There are now people of color who are growing up in our city who have you to look up to because that is you.
Well, Tanya, thank you. And I do want to say that actually this last week, I met a young lady. Actually, I met her grandfather told me that his granddaughter wanted to meet me. So I told him, I said, call off, set up an appointment, let's meet. But while I was talking with him, I realized that his father was actually my principal at Carver, Mr. Roseman. So literally it came full circle.
Wow.
And I got to meet her, and she was such a sweet young lady, an honor student. And I told her, I said, you know, when I look at you, I said, I want you to understand how important your father was to me, your grandfather. I said, because of him and his positive influence on my life in my education, you now see me as mayor.
Wow.
And so I thanked her because she was start-eyeing over me, but I was just amazed to see my former principal, Mr. Roseman, his legacy.
That's an awesome piece of a story there. Talk about some of the pressures that you feel as mayor. But let me just say this first. Because you were on the council 10 years prior to being mayor. So you know what the council is like. You've been there. That's not a short amount of time.
Right.
So you know the workings of what it takes to get things done in a city. What are some of the pressures you feel now as the mayor opposed to being a councilwoman?
Well, as the mayor, I've become the face of the council and the face of the city. So the things that are being done when it comes to the council and the city, people reflected on me. And so it's up to me to have us come together as a team that's willing to work together, because we have to work for the city and we have to present the city in a positive light, regardless to what circumstances we're in, regardless to any issues. The end goal has got to be doing what's best for the whole of the city of Florence. And not only that, making sure we have working relationships with our partner, with the county of Florence. When people hear Florence, they don't think, well, city of county. They hear Florence.
Right.
So as the mayor, it is up to me to be able to work with others so that we can pool that positive energy together so Florence can be successful. We have got to be able to stand on the things that's best for the city. Everyone is going to have their issues, but we have got to do what's right for the city. And we have got to show the best part of Florence, and the places or things that's not the best, how can we improve those?
Right.
And for me as a mayor, those are the things that I have to focus on. And I have to put all personal things aside because I've got to do what's best for the city as a whole.
I'm going to ask you this question. Like we said, you were on the council for 10 years. You could have run for councilwoman again. Why did you decide to run for mayor?
To be honest with you, previous mayor, he decided he was not going to run. And I asked him, why don't you at least run one more term? He told me, he said, Teresa, he said, I'm not going to run. He said, why don't you run? I said, if you don't, I will. And he didn't, so I did.
But why? What made you want to be mayor? What inspired you to keep growing in politics? Why?
Because I knew me. And I knew what I could expect to see happen. And I can entrust myself to provide that service to the city. When you have someone else who's going to run for that position, you have to learn them. And you don't know, because I know me. And I know my track record, serving 10 years. The citizens of Florence who've seen me, they've looked at District 1. And if you look at the development that happened under District 1, as me, as the councilwoman, and it happened because I worked as a team player with the rest of the council. I worked as a team player with our mayor. I honored and I respected each person in their role.
Right.
That's important. So that's why you saw what you saw in District 1. And I want to see that development continue to happen because District 1 and District 2 over the years have been disenfranchised.
Right.
So I want to see that development continue to happen. And I knew I could trust me to continue the work that I've done. And the citizens, by voting for me, they also believe they can entrust me to continue to do the work that they've seen over the last 10 years. That is why I ran, because I want to see us continue to grow. I want to see all of our districts have an atmosphere where they all are seen as a part of Florence and as the best part of Florence, not disenfranchised. That's why I ran, because I could trust me to continue the work I was doing.
Okay. Why don't you share what your vision is, or let's say one or a few of your visions are for the city of Florence within the next 10 years?
Well, it's good that you asked that question. Right now, we're actually working on the comprehensive plan, which is actually a 10-year plan for the city. And one of the things I would like to see us continue to do is be a progressive city. I spoke when I was running about having a green city. That means that we need to have green spaces. We have to have places like how we've got the Florence School partnership where they're doing fresh vegetables. We're doing the marketplace downtown. We need healthy citizens, which means we need to have healthy foods. We need to have access to food. You see the new grocery stores. That's one of the projects that I've worked on. So we need to have healthy citizens with healthy air, and we need to look at having green jobs. So I want to see us continue our growth in the green initiative.
Okay.
So I want to do that. But also when it comes to development, we have a beautiful downtown that's growing. And if you come down the street right now, if you go past Vista Place, you see new homes there. Liberty Street, new homes there. Old Carver Station. You see Pine Street, we've broken foundation there for new homes. We need to create growth of home ownership.
I like what you're saying here. And when we're talking about the development of the city and going into the neighborhoods, how important is it to have affordable housing? Are these homes affordable? What is that like for first-time home buyers? Are there programs for them? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, actually, as of last year, I retired my real estate license. But I believe that everyone should know there are special programs for first-time home owners. So they're available. But also, when you look at the city, we do have down payment assistance program. And it's based on your income that you can get up to $25,000 down payment assistance on a home if that home is within the city area. But then if you don't want to be in the city, we have the USDA programs, where you can get up to about 100% financing. So there are programs for first-time home owners to be involved with. And when we think about affordable, you also have to think about affordable is really based on what your income is. So when you look at that, we don't only need affordable homes, we also need jobs with livable wages. So my thing, if you have the income coming in, you can end up affording a home. There are some rental prices that surpasses the mortgage payment.
Right.
So you have to look at it. And I heard a study that they were saying about the percentage of people who won't be able to own a home because they're paying so much for rent. So I would encourage, like I told my young adults, when you're at home and you're starting out, don't jump out to go and get an apartment to rent. Stay home. Yeah, kind of sponge off your parents. Save some money.
Right.
Start saving your down payment for your home. So when you get out there, you might have to start with a small home. You start a home, but that's your ownership. That's your equity. Once you get that first home, you live there, you build your equity, then what do you trade up?
I like that you said that because I was talking with my daughter and we were talking about the American dream and about the generation of young people coming up, and it looks like a nightmare for them because exactly what you said, we need wages to be increased, because if you have the work, you have the wage, you can afford a home. And that's what, so there's just like a tricky conversation in that, because we talk about affordable homes, but the bottom line is you need to have the wage, and then that is affordable housing.
Yes.
Absolutely. I like that. Give me an idea of 3 key things that you would like to see change in our town.
3 key things. I would like to see the city as a whole to have investment in all areas so we can have a beautiful city throughout. I would like to see that change. I would also like to see the mindset of all of us learning to come together, to work together across cultural lines, across racial lines, across gender lines. I would like to see us to see each other as humans and working together. So for me, that's important. And thirdly, I do want to see us be that city that attract businesses so that we will have so many jobs with these livable wages that our citizens won't have to search to go somewhere else. We will have everything they need here in Florence, so they will want to stay home. And it will be competitive because more people want to come here to Florence. I want to see us become that magnet.
Well, what are some of the things that we could do to draw businesses to the area? What are some of the things that you think this particular group of council and you presently as mayor, what is it that you guys could do to draw businesses here?
Well, one of the things that we're already doing is, which is I think is so wonderful, we have partnerships. We have the Florence County Economic Development Partnership. And what that partnership does is that they literally go out to attract businesses here. And I serve on that committee. And what happens is when industry starts to look at South Carolina, this partnership has to magnify why is Florence so important? Why should you come here? And the city plays a key piece because we have the water and we have to have the sewage. We have to make sure that we have the capacity to support these businesses when they come here. So for us, that's a key factor that the city has that would be important to any business partnership. But we do have a special committee who actually sought after businesses and try to attract them here. So that's how we're addressing that.
I got it. Now I have to ask you this, because this was in the front page on the newspaper today.
Sure.
We're dealing with a lot of violence in our city. We could look at the violence that is just going on nationwide, but particularly we've had a very discouraging weekend. What do you think is the cause of so much violence going on in such a small city? Like I said, we know each other. It's very easy for me to see the mayor or to see a councilman or a representative anywhere I go. So let's stop. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I want you to answer that question.
Sure.
We'll be right back with more in the flow.
District 1, we are one. We are resilient, we are family, friends, and we are a community. District 1 needs a leader that will remain focused on our best interests as a community. I'm running because I care too much not to, and to serve the people I call family. With change agents like you, we can change the direction of every community in District 1. It's time for every resident of Florence to live the good life. I'm Isaac Wilson, and I approve this message.
Hi, I'm Tanya Mormon, and you can catch me not only in the flow, but catch me on the last Sunday of every month at 6 o'clock with the Brown South Girls. You can find us on YouTube.
There is an opportunity to reason together.
For creatives to get together, who knows what could happen? I mean, it could be a revival that set fire to everything.
One of the things I love about this show and the flow is you give artists, you give people an opportunity to share their story.
Art brings economic growth because people are coming to see these artists. People travel from where to see poetry shows. I mean, different.
I see it all the time. It has been through consistency that we've been able to get where we are now.
Hello, I'm Suzanne La Rochelle.
I'm Isaac Wilson.
I am Solandia Hammond, a.k.a. Sue Hell, baby.
I'm Les Eccles.
I am Minister Aquila Ervin Cannon.
I'm Jace Teresa. We're ATLDV.
I'm Teresa Myers Ervin, Mayor of Florence, South Carolina, and you're watching In the FLO.
And we're back with Teresa Myers Ervin. I tell you, we're having a wonderful conversation, and the question that we left on is not so wonderful, especially for such a small town. What's going on with the violence, and what are your thoughts, and what can we do?
Well, the crimes that occurred between the city of Florence and the county of Florence, all these are what they call familial crimes. And when it comes to it, all of the incidents, usually people knew each other. So when it comes to crime, and I say for us, we are considered a medium-sized city. And when you think about COVID, it is shown throughout our nation that while we're coming out of COVID, our violent activities have increased coming out of COVID. But not only that, historically, when the season starts to warm up, crime goes up. And you said, what could we do? I often tell everyone, if you think about crime, if you have people who know each other, there's something in there personally that as government, there's some things government cannot do. We cannot prevent a bullet from coming out someone's gun when they're doing that. So we have to look at the root cause. We have to look at why did that person pull that gun. We have to look at their environments, their peers, their family, what things affected that person, what caused them to do such a thing. That's why when you looked at, we had a press conference yesterday. And if you looked at that group, you had everywhere from government officials, you had pastors, you had community members, you had groups that actually promote stop the violence, ceasefire. So as a city and as a county, we have the resources to help our community members prevent some of these violent situations. But we need also the commitment of parents and family and community. They say a concept, it takes a village. The city, the county, we should be a village.
Right.
And in our officers, we had the Florence police chief. We had from the sheriff department there who are telling you they're there to help us. But if you see something, you've got to say something.
Right.
You have got to call to help prevent. And if something happened, you have got to call to help solve that problem or that crime. Why would you want to protect someone who took someone's life who you knew? To give them the opportunity to go and take someone else's life.
Right.
You've now become in a place where you're protecting that killer. And it's a scary thought to think that someone can kill someone, especially if they're unarmed, and go on like nothing to it.
I get you. You're right. It really does take a village. And just being in our community, we've had legacy leaders in our communities like the great Freddie Jolly, Billy D. Williams, Ed Robinson. I know you're very familiar with them. Speak a little bit about what their legacies and what they did in the community meant to you.
Well, when I think of all three names, you think about the fact that they were all voices for the community. And not only that, when they used their voice, they stood behind what they said. And that's the difference. They also, you think about the fact that Councilman Billy D. Williams, actually a council member for our area. And I remember as a community members, the meetings that we had with the association with him coming there to help that we needed to go through a process to provide information that we needed to get through the process. And then, as you know, Freddie Jolly, Mr. Jolly, he was always there trying to make sure resources were available for community members who needed. And as you know, his wife still serves in our public education. And then, you know, everyone's Ed Robinson, everyone say Ed. You know Ed. Ed, if there was an issue, he was going to be out there. He didn't care who thought what they thought. He was going to say what he was going to say. So, you know, when I look at each one of them, I see the different aspects of what they brought to making sure that the community, especially the areas they served, was heard.
Right.
Yes, so they have a legacy of making sure people was heard. And not only that, when you're being heard and people have you out there, what can be done to solve the issues? So that's what I think about when I think about them.
Right. They were very much in the village as well as the council. So I get what you're saying there. In fact, I recently interviewed Solandia Hammond, who happens to be a councilwoman in Williamsburg County. And she's also very much into the arts. And so that leads me to ask you, what are your thoughts about the arts and how important arts actually is for our city?
Well, you know, I smile because a lot of people don't know that in high school, I was an artist. I was the one, you know, I do special like pencil drawings. And so I enjoy the art. When it comes to the crafts, I knit, I crochet, I can weave, I can do all these artistic things. And my son, who's actually now, he's an engineer, he could draw anything that he places his eyes on. So I love the arts. The arts can be so very expressive. And I feel too when, for me, I don't know where we would be as a culture if we didn't have our art. Our history has been passed down in the form of arts. If you think about the sweetgrass from Charleston, the basket weaving. Art is very important to our society. Go look in the history of the caves with the drawings on the cave. Look at Egypt. So art is something that is we cannot afford to not support. And that's why I think about art. It's too valuable. It's historical.
I'm very happy to hear you say that because art is very much a part of the community. I feel like within that village, within the leaders, within the businesses, art definitely, you know, has a place there. Because if you think about it, art and artists are going to be what draw people into our downtown area so that they can realize the revitalizations. I feel like it increases business, it increases traffic, and just to know that, you know, you're looking at it that way. I feel like as a whole, our community should view it that way, and we could see some growth there.
And I do want to add, one of the first commissions that I commissioned as mayor was our arts commission for the city. So I actually, I have, is co-chaired by Reverend Mary Graves and also Dr. Fred Carter. So in December, I got a sworn in November, and in December, I commissioned that art commission. And they actually have some community artists who work with them. So when you think about art, my first act was to commission that arts commission.
Awesome. I love hearing that because that is what our show essentially is about art.
Yes.
It is about artists. It is about community. Because when you say community, I can't separate art from that. I'm an artist, you know, but I have to look at, you know, we want young people out here to see that there's just a various amount of things that you can do, but creativity is very important. And I feel like oftentimes we haven't really allowed artists to feel like that is a viable way of living or income, but because it has to be supported by the community.
And Tanya, before you, I do want to state, and I'm going to touch my hair. People don't realize that, especially throughout our history, hair has been used as an art form. And you think about now with African braiding and everything, that's art. People do not realize that African American hair was used, even from my understanding reading history, that you could place rice and seed and things, so once you travel, you would have those to plate the next time. And it was also that directions was braided into people's hair. So even we as African Americans, our history shows the art form of how we could even use our hair for art.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I enjoy having this conversation, like I said, with you, because I feel like there will be people who are going to watch this and probably say, okay, well, Tanya didn't really ask her any tough questions or any political type questions. But that is not who we are. We're introducing people to our leaders. We want them to know who you are, what inspires you, and also allow you to be that inspiration for someone who wants to do it, follow in those footsteps, build upon those footsteps. So it's good to hear the different things that you think about, the different commissions that you have been a part of. Are there any other commissions or anything that you have coming up that is a special project to you?
Tanya, we have so many things that's presently on our table that what I would say to all of our citizens is watch us. We have plans that we're working on, and I do want to make sure that everyone remember that we just this past week celebrated the partnership of having McLeod, Bruce Lee Foundation, the county and the city come together as partners to go Palmetto Street where the old hotel is. That, the artists use that for some artwork.
Yes.
That after all these years, the partnership, we've come together to make sure that building will come down so we can improve the community in the park. Because as a city, we want to beautify our city, to make it a beautiful city, aesthetically pleasing, so our citizens will feel comfortable and safe where they're at in our community. So watch us. Those are the things that we're going to be working on. We want to make our communities healthy and safe, but also pleasing to the eyes.
I like that because that place was not pleasing to the eye. However, we did have some artists who kind of beautified it.
Yes.
They added art. So let me ask this. Will there be any art implemented into the new plans? And will artists be able to be involved in that in any way? I'm not sure. I haven't really kept up with it, so I just got to be honest about that. But I know that there's art there, and with that coming down, will there be any art infused within that project?
Well, the project for right now, we've placed two concepts of what it could look like. The major aspect right now, we will be extending the park out to Palmetto. And we have a concept where you have some parking there. There'll be some canopy with possible sittings. We've discussed the possibility of maybe some kind of art form. None of that has been finalized. Right now, our first step is to get that building down, to improve the site itself, and then doors are open to the visionary. With the Art Commission, we'll see where the commission will lead us as well. We do have some partnerships that we're looking at that's going to help us beautify with some new flowers and different things like that. But to say that we will have, I would say, visible concrete art, we have not discussed that at this point.
Okay.
Like that. And also, I do want to encourage everyone, though, if you want to see artwork in areas, art costs money. So it needs to be financially supported. So if the artists do want to look at doing something, I would encourage our citizens to support the artists and come forth. If you got something that you can bring, you need to bring the money though. So I would encourage our citizens, if you want to see artwork, support the arts financially so you can see it. It takes money to do art. You have artists who have the talent, but they need the financial support at the same time.
You're right. Just like getting anything done, it takes a budget. So
Yes.
I'm glad you put that message out there. I'm going to ask you one last question. What do you think the role of national politics play on you being mayor in this city?
Are you saying national as far as me functioning as mayor, or national as me being elected as mayor? Because you have two.
You could. I like both of those. Either one that you'd like to answer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer it like this. I believe that the major part of politics is usually home base. What's best for you as your city.
Right.
You will find that your leadership will project the format usually of your communities. So I think that for the city of Florence, it is important that the citizens selected Teresa. And I believe that when they looked at Teresa, they saw that service that Teresa already gave. And the ones who know me personally, they know that my word is my word. And if we agree, I'm going to agree to disagree with you. But once I'm finished with it, I'm finished with it. Because I believe that you have to be able to move on in all situations. You can't stay stuck in bitter disagreement. So I believe that I'm here because of the citizens who saw something in me, and the ones who knew me actually introduced me to the ones who did not know me and helped them to understand why they support me. When I think about national politics, I smile because I think about our VP, our first African American female VP, and then I'm thinking about our first Supreme Court Justice, Tanya Brown Jackson. So for me, nationally, I believe that people are recognizing your gender should not be a factor that holds you back. Your race should not be a factor that holds you back. That we're looking at people finally for who the person is and what is the talent that they bring forth. And that is the positive that I look at. Our nation is waking up to what is important. That person and what they have to offer is what's important, rather than the barriers that block us.
Absolutely. And that is what we wanted to do here. Introduce people and allow them to know who you are. And I feel like we've done a bit of that. And also, I always say this for anyone who wants to know anything or who wants to dig deeper and know anything political. Politicians have an open door policy. I'm sure you have an office policy where anyone who wants to know any information, they're welcome to ask. Ask. Go to the council meetings. How many people are truly watching? Because we're in COVID, so sometimes they're on Zoom. But how many people are watching? And how many people actually go? You know, so that's why I didn't want this to be about that.
Right.
People got to do their homework.
Yes.
I wanted to know who you were. And I thank you for allowing us to let people get a little insight.
Well, thank you for having me. And I smile when I tell everyone, you've only scratched the surface of who Teresa is. I'm a person who, I love life and I do love people. And that is why, if you think about this June, I'll be serving as a nurse for 41 years.
Wow.
And I do it because I love people and I love helping people. And for me, I'm the servant leader. And that's why I do what I do. And I will serve until my last breath, because I believe that's what I'm here for, to serve and be that servant leader.
Well, thank you. And I am very proud to see you sitting here and holding this office. I continue to wish you the best because it's not an easy task. And I see the tasks that you have ahead of you that you're dealing with now. So handle it.
Thank you, ma'am. Look, I will be that lady. You know, we ladies, we handle our business.
All right. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you got an opportunity to learn just a little bit. Just like the mayor said, we scratched the surface of who she is. So young girls, young women, people of color, you can be this. You can do this. You saw where she came from. You heard it from her own mouth. So make a decision and do something for the community. You're watching In the Flow.